Hey everybody, this is Perch. This mail starts dumb anime takes on Twitter as usual. You could just say dumb takes on Twitter. I mean, there's good comedy in Twitter, but I love Twitter a lot more now that I rarely go to it, and when I do, kind of my whatever recommended profiles are pretty much just memes and other kind of stupid shit posting. I don't really see any discourse. Every now and then somebody sends me like a tweet from Heidi McDonald. They're like, look what this bitch is saying, and I'm like, I don't I don't know what's being said. I don't need to know. It's wonderful. Anyway, it says the mail says, "Hey Perch, been a while. Hope things are well for you and the family." Nah, they're all right. There's my car beeping for no apparent reason. I'm at a complete stop, but suddenly a ghost has floated under my car and is deciding to beep. Anyway, it says lately there's been some dumb takes coming out of Twitter. I know, what a surprise! It's about anime. Lately, some people are going around claiming how anime is inherently aesthetically right-wing conservative. Now, I don't know about how others might feel about this, but I think it's the same dumb nonsense as the all media is political progressive rhetoric that we got from the other side of Twitter a number of years ago. The way I see it, like all media, anime manga is neither aesthetically right wing or left wing. Correct. It's neither of those things. It's boobs. It's aesthetically right and left boobs, and they bounce. That's what. I, sorry, that's very reductive. Anyway, um, if even like Spy X Family, which my family loves, and it's a great series. Every now and then, it's like, and now they're going to a tennis match, and check out those tits. Anyway, whatever. It says it has works whose themes originate from creators with different points of views, and others just pure escapism. Well, there are Japanese media that have a more conservative outlook than that might conflict with liberal views. There is just as much Japanese media that has a more liberal outlook than might conflict with conservative views. I doubt anyone would cite genres like BL, yaoi, and GL, yuri, as examples of conservative media. Yeah, that's it. Anyway. Um, I think, look, to me, the whole anime is right wing, etc. It is nonsense, and it's very clearly nonsense if you just like look at any manga or anime, like any. It becomes immediately clear, eh, literally immediately, that it is not. Um, I mean, I don't know. I saw somebody that going off on this long kind of post about how My Hero Academia was Trumpian because All Might looked like Trump. And I mean, uh, you've got to be a pretty big fan of Trump. I mean, I guess yes, he's smiling and has blonde hair, and but look, really, like Trump doesn't look like that. He just, I, I mean, I'm sorry, no, it doesn't, no, none of it makes sense. No, anyway. Back to this says, I feel people who make up these claims are simply basis. Okay, wait, sorry, you already read that. No, wait, I didn't. So I feel like people who make up these claims are simply basing this on the fact that Japanese government is more conservative, completely ignoring that not everyone in Japan feels this way. For example, reports show there's a massive majority of the Japanese population support same-gender marriage, even though it's outlawed in Japan, along with the fact that there are Japanese media that present a more positive representation of the LGBTQ community and can be more in your face with it than how American media presents it. That's kind of always been true. Even going back far as the 80s, especially that one scene from an episode of the Dirty Pair OVA that has famously become known as the trans rights Dirty Pair episode on social media. Yeah, so I mean, keep in mind though, just for what it's worth, a lot of the content in the 80s that people are calling trans now was really based on earlier comedy from the 60s and 70s in the UK, where dressing up in women's clothing, in drag, or even doing bits where it's like, I'm a woman, but I've also got a penis. Like that used to be like the height of comedy. And you will see it in a lot of old sketches and things from the UK. It wasn't a statement on trans rights. It was literally like, it's funny. Dudes dressing up like girls. That's what's funny. Let's put that out there. Like, wouldn't it be funny if the dude is dressed up like a girl and everybody knew it was a dude except one guy who was totally in love with that dude and thought it was a girl, and then suddenly penis, and then horror. I mean, like that I just summed up the plot of like a lot of British sketches. So there's definitely some in Japan that different. Anyway, so another reason is how the concept of fan service being seen as problematic. I talked about this recently. By one side is now being propagated as conservative by the other. which is, of course, a whole other can of worms. I feel like this whole discourse regarding media has completely lost any sort of nuance from both sides of the discourse. I just wish it would stop. Sorry for a long rant. Thanks for reading this. Hope you have a great day. No, it's all stupid. And I think, look, there were once upon a time, if you're old enough, if you're Gen X, the conservative side of the world was seen as the more repressive. Oh, yeah, and there were, like, believe it or not, once upon a time in the olden days, back in the late 80s, like, girls showing up in a thong bikini was like scandalous and like anti-religion, and like the conservatives were gonna, like, oh, we got to cover this up with blankets and stuff. And today you've got people going, these animes, all these bouncing tits, or that's clearly right wing. I like, what are you even talking about? The problem in kind of the general society discourse since, I don't know, 2016, probably earlier than that, is that there's a rush to put labels on everything as right wing and left wing, even when they make no goddamn sense. There was an article that somebody sent me as a joke, not related to this channel, that talked about, do you own a dog? You're probably a MAGA. If you own a cat, you're probably more for Harris. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? I mean, other than the joke of, like, crazy single cat ladies and, alpha dudes who've got Dobermans just running around, is that even a thing? I don't know. But regardless, owning a pet does not indicate your political affiliation, and saying so or thinking so is dumb. And so applying these same standards to comics, it's kind of like I did the video on headcanon. You don't have to accept this, and none of us should. When you see people going on and on about how, this comic or that comic is inherently right-wing, or unless the comic is literally called Trump and the Avengers, or, Kamala and the Injustice League. I'm kidding. I did that for you. But anyway, unless it's clearly a political book because it's literally telling you it's political, diving in and saying, well, the subtext of Demon Slayer was actually based on the conservative movement in America in the 1960s. No, that's just dumb. That whole thing is dumb. That's not what was going on. That you can interpret any piece of art to be anything. You can certainly do that, but why? Like what fulfillment in life are you getting? To me, it feels more like, this kind of logic. I don't like this thing. This thing isn't for me. Rather than just not buying this thing, I'm going to claim it's the opposite politics as me, and then slander it with whatever cliches exist for that political, party. And that's how I've decided to run my life, for reasons best known only to me. Like, that's the amount of logic that goes into all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. It will never make any sense because it's stupid. Manga and anime, it's just manga and anime. Some of it is good. Some of it is bad. Some of it is well thought through. Some of it's trying to tell a deeper story. The Promised Neverland is trying to tell maybe a deeper story about, childhood and how things change over time. Like, fuck if I know. That's what it's doing. But, something like Ranma, there's no subtext to Ranma. Ranma's designed to be fun. That's it. That's the subtext. Fun. And, beyond all that, it doesn't need to be anything else. And trying to make it something else is reading into, frankly, something that's not there. It's just not part of that comic, not part of that book. Look, you can find political themes in everything. If, like, I'm thinking of aspects of Demon Slayer talk about spirituality, mainly because they're killing demons. I don't think this is a, in-depth, major view of spirituality by any stretch of the imagination. I think you'd be crazy to call it that. But, it's, if it mentions God, and that doesn't mean it's suddenly Republican. If it has a gay character in it, it doesn't mean it's suddenly liberal. Like that, there was somebody who posted a comment on one of my videos going, I watched One Piece to the end. It's totally woke. Okay, Shut the fuck up. You don't even know what that word means anymore. It's just a dumb slur. And I think the same thing goes for inherently right-wing media or inherently right-wing anime or left-wing anime. Again, unless the anime is saying things like, we would all be better off in a socialist society, you're reaching. You're basically taking kind of a generic opinion of what a view might be, and you're applying it to something that it may or may not even have. In My Hero Academia, they live in Japan. Japan has capitalist aspects of who they are. That doesn't mean it's right wing. It's not a police. The world's gotten stupid because of all these dumbasses who've written articles for like Kotaku, trying to explain some kind of deeper meaning in, I don't know, Dirty Pair. There is no deeper meaning. The deeper meaning is they're out trying to have fun and they're bounty hunters, and every now and then they fall over and their boobs pop out. That's the deeper meaning. I just enjoy it, dumbass. Anyway, thanks for listening.